Hello, good evening. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? How are you?
I'm fine.
I'm fine, thank you. Okay, so basically, you want to introduce to join a new online training program on RGIS. Mainly, we try to discuss about that how we can easily use the GIS and remote sensing technique using R programming language. Okay, so I will try to explain all of detail from beginners to advanced level. I hope you can easily learn the R programming language and also use the different types of GIS and remote sensing technique using the R programming. Okay. And did you use the R programming language before or not? Did you use?
The basics of
Okay. So basically, in R programming, there are a lot of benefit when you want to use the R programming, because using the R programming, you can easily access the different types of powerful package or library. So using this type of package or library, we can do the different types of deep learning, machine learning, or also did different types of GIS and remote sensing work. Okay, so that's why it's very necessary for present time using the geospatial data analysis. We also move to the R also. Okay, so I will try to explain all of details. And for R programming language, first of all, I try to discuss about the syllabus. Okay, course syllabus, what you learn. We also discuss about them. Then we try to start. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Is it visible? Okay. So first of all, okay, let me just close it. So basically, this is our online training program on R in GIS and remote sensing. We try to discuss about that, how we can easily use the GIS, mainly geographic information system, using the R programming language in this online training program. So basically, in this online training program, I will focus for beginners. Suppose you have zero knowledge in the R programming. If you enroll this online training program, you learn the R programming, as well as you can also learn how we can easily use the R in GIS and remote sensing, different types of work. So as the beginners, you can learn everything from beginners to advanced level. So you learn the basic programming of R programming. You can learn you to carry out the geospatial analysis in R programming, to perform the geospatial operation, vector data and raster data, or to do GIS based research using R programming, to create the static, interactive, and animated map using R programming. We also do. So we try to discuss about that basic introduction to R programming, then how we can be reading the external data source in R programming, create and the chart and graph using ggplot package, or introduction to the SF package, or vector data operation we discussed, raster data, map making with tmap, okay, interactive map with leaflet, remote sensing analysis, creating map. So it covered the lot of topic. Okay, we try to discuss one by one lot of topic. So basically, it's a total 7 days online training program, and I will take the class for one day in a week. And if we need the more day, there we also try to also increase the day. Okay, basically it's define our course content successfully finish or not. Okay, if it will be not finished, then we also try to add the more days to complete our all of content. Okay, so let's go start. So first of all, R is totally open source software or open source programming. We can use it as the GIS and remote sensing work. So in the R programming, so first of all, you need to install. So simply search here R Studio. Simply search Studio. And from here you can see we find out this type of link, R Studio desktop. There you can see basically we find out the R Studio. It's one kind of IDE. IDE means that integrate development environment. Okay, so this is one kind of IDE. So this IDE help you to write the R programming, also Python programming. Okay, basically when you install the R Studio, in R Studio we can write the Python as well as you can also write the R programming in the R Studio IDE. So this IDE, you can see we find out this type of things, install R. So basically this is the R programming. Okay, this is the R programming and install R Studio. This is an IDE, mainly integrate development program, environment, IDE. So this is the environment and this is the R programming. So simply download and install the R, then download and install for Studio, mainly IDE. Simply download it and then simply install. So here I already installed it, these two things. So just I simply search here R Studio. So here you can see it's the R Studio. And I already write, okay, for today's our first day. So here you can see I try to open for first day things. I try to open because I already write this type of code. In this case, I try to explain every line of code. Then you can also get that better idea. It opening the R Studio IDE, and I will create a Google Classroom also. Okay, in the Google Classroom, I will submit it all of practice code, all of recorded class, and all of other material. I also including in the Google Classroom, so you can easily access all of this from the Google Classroom easily. It opening, just a minute. It's a little bit slow. Let me open again. Okay, so let me delete the previous code. I quite and so RStudio is not available. You are using this previous version, so that's why update available. Okay, so I try to quite and download the update. Okay, or remind later or ignore update. So just I ignore it because I update the later. Okay, because now new version is also available. So that's why we also need to add the update version also. Okay, so you can see here I already opened different file for my different purpose. Okay, so from this type of file, okay, I will try to explain the later this type of code. So in this case, we try to take the new file. So this type of thing we take the later. So in this case, I just create the file, and you can see the new file. New file. I want to work for the R script. Just click in here. It show this type of things. Basically, you can see this one. Including, yeah, so here you can see the untitled, I think untitled 15, untitled 14, also including, or 16, yeah, so this one. So this one we try to add in here. You can see art title for 16. So if you want, you can also rename it. Okay, so for that, I simply click on here. You can see I just save this script because I also need to send you. So I create a folder in my desktop. Suppose I put the folder name is the R for GIS code. So in this folder, I simply put this. I put it. It's a first day. Okay. So then when I send you this file, you can simply open and get all of code easily. So I put the first day. Okay. So now
Okay.
this is the R. Now it's ready for that work for that R programming code. So basically R is a programming language and R is open used to statistical computing or graphical presentation to analyze and visualize data such as geospatial data for the mapping. Everything we can easily do using the R. And we can easily add the different types of things using the R. So now, if you want, suppose you can simply use the different types of things. Suppose I want to show you the one example. Suppose I simply write here and we find out, you can see this is the console. It's a console and it's a code editor. So it's the code editor and it's the console. So now what's the difference between the console and code editor? So basically console, if I run any code, we can get the line by line result. Suppose if I just plus 5, we can get the 10. Okay. We find out the result line by line. So this code, this console provide you the result, interpret the result line by line. Suppose I just simply use here the print and I want to print suppose this value 2024. So if I run, we can get the result in here. Okay. So line by line, we find out the result under the console tab. And it's a code editor. This code editor or this script it's not provide the line by line result. Suppose if I just 5 plus 5, okay, you can see it not provide. I also write suppose print suppose 2024, it not provide the line by line result. Okay, but if you just suppose this cursor I simply put in here, run it, we get the result in here under the console tab 10. So just I print this value, just run it, we can get the result in here. So this is the script and this is the console. So I can also write the code also console. For that I got the result line by line. Suppose this is my code and this is my output. But in this case, this is the code editor. In this code editor, I cannot get the result line by line. So this is the difference between the console and also script. As well as you can also see the terminal. Okay. So terminal, basically this is the terminal. In this case, this is my local terminal. So documents, it's the documents, local terminal set in here. Okay. So basically documents. And you can see the files. So basically this type of files, this is my document file. Okay, this is my document file, document folder file. If I just, I can see, click on here, go to the directory, it open the documents. Okay, so now my terminal set with documents. So further you also change it later, but it's a default. You can find out the documents folder. And background jobs, it's not much needed. Sometimes we need for that when you are running any kinds of code, then we can easily get the current running status from the background jobs. This is the terminal. We've set the folder, the location or directory, and console, it show you the result line by line. Also you can see the environment, then history, and also get the connection and also tutorial. So basically R is the open source software, so that's why it also provides some basic tutorial, not for the geospatial or GIS or other thing. We cannot just basic graphical or graphic presentation. You also get from here, also tutorial from here. Okay, also you can see the files. So basically it's connecting with our documents folder directory, and plot, when you plot or anything graphical representation, we can easily get from the plot. And package, so basically from here we can easily get all of package. Okay, all of necessary library you can easily get from here. You can also update it from here, also install. So simply write the package name and then install, then it will be installed in the R studio. Also help and viewer, suppose you want to add any kinds of 3D things, you can easily get the viewer option also. And also you can see the environment. So now it show about the R environment. You can say R. Basically we can also run the Python also, but in this case we try to work for R. Okay, and history, basically history show you that your work, previous work, you can also get from here history. Okay, And then this is the file. Suppose this script I want to save, that I already show you that how we can save it. So now in this case, we try to discuss about the sum. Suppose I want to create a plot. You can easily use the R to easily create the graph. Suppose I want to create the plot, just use the plot function, and I put here the plot, suppose 1 to 10, and just I run it. So you can easily get this type of plot. Okay, very quickly. Just use here the plot function. You can easily get this type of normal graph. Or if you want, you can simply anything you can print. Suppose if I just use here print is one kind of function. Suppose I want to print, suppose my name, just I put here the median and click run. We can easily get the median because it's a string. We already know about the string mainly group of character. Then we can need to add some quotation. We need to add the quotation. We want to work for the string. And basically, R is very popular programming language used for statistical computing and graphical presentation. And there are a lot of uses. Okay, basically, it's a great resource for data analysis, data visualization, data science, and machine learning, and also deep learning. You can also do. And it provides the many statistical techniques such as statistical test, classification, clustering, data reduction, and it easy to draw the graph in R like pie chart, histogram, box plot. Okay, and we can easily work with the different types of platforms such as Windows, Mac, Linux, and it open source and free to use. Okay, and there the large community support, and we can easily get a lot of package or library from the R Studio. Okay, so this is the benefit to use the R programming. And when we already show you that how we can easily install this type of package, mainly how we can install the R Studio. And for the example, you can easily work. Suppose I simply write anything. Suppose I simply write my name. Suppose my name, Nijan. And if I run it, you can also see, you can also get the result. Okay. And if suppose I just simply put my name and run it, you can see it show the problem. It show the problem. Object is not defined. Okay. Because in this case, I not put here the quotation. I not put here the quotation. Okay, because it's a string. You already know some basic programming. In the string you must use here the quotation. Without quotation it not work, but when I put the quotation it will work. Okay, so this is the quotation. You already know about that. But when you work for the suppose number, suppose 5 plus 5, just run it, we can get the result. Okay, suppose I print 100, it also work because it's a number data type. We not need put any kinds of things. If you want, you can also use that the print function. Okay, suppose I simply use that the print function, and then I put print. Suppose I put print here, suppose hello world, and I run it, we can easily get the result hello world in here. Okay, if you want print, suppose I want to print 5 plus 5, and I can get the result in here 10. So this is the way we can use here the print. As well as if you want, you can also use here the for loop function. So what is the for loop? Suppose I want to print 1, 2, 3, 4, then suppose 4, then 5, then 5. So everything I want to print 1 to, suppose 1 to 10 I want to print, or 1 to 100 I want to print. So if you write one by one, it take lot of time. Suppose I want to print 1 to 100. So it take lot of time. If you randomly put one this type of things, it take lot of time. But if you want to use here the for loop function, you can simply put here the loop. You can create the loop. Then very quickly you can get the result. So now how I can define the for loop? So when you define the for loop, just use here the for function, and then just put here the condition. Okay, put here the condition. So just put here the take a variable, suppose x in, I put here suppose 1 to 100. Okay, so just I put the for function and I define x in 1 to 100. Okay, and now use the curly bracket. In this curly bracket put my argument what I need. So I want to need print x. Okay, so here you can see it's very simple. I again explain. I want to print 1 to 100 at the same time. So for that, just call the for loop function. In this loop, I put the parenthesis. In this parenthesis, just set my condition. So my condition is that x in 1 to 100 and I want to print it. So for that, if I run the code, you can see it printed and very quickly. Okay, and there are a lot of uses in also GIS or remote sensing work. So these are the basic things or fundamental things. I will show you that. So you can see when I just 1 to 100, it will be printed 1 to 100. Not only for this. Suppose I want to print for 1000. So you can easily get 1000. It printed. Okay, did you get it for that for loop function? Okay. So basically, this type of for loop function you also need mainly when you want to lot of work at the same time you want to do. Suppose randomly you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 1000. It takes a lot of time. But when I just create a for loop function, just put here the for, and I take a variable x. You can put any variable name in 1 to 1000 and put this curly bracket. Then I can easily get the result this type of way. So this is the for loop. We also define our condition and we can also do it. In our programming, we can also use the comment. Okay. Suppose I want to write a comment. Suppose this is for loop function. Okay, so I want to use it as a comment. If I run, you can see it show a problem. It show the unexpected sample files. So just use the comment, just use here the hash sign. Okay. So in our programming, we are using the hash symbol as a comment. If I run it, there is no problem. Okay. So when you write anything as a comment, just use here the hash symbol all time. We just try to add in here. Okay. Hash symbol work as a comment. As well as we can also use here the variable. Suppose you can simply store it anything in your variable. Suppose I just take a variable name. This is my variable. Variable mainly store it any object, anything. We can add it the variable. And I put here this. If you want, you can also put the equal sign and put here the define. Suppose my name is Mijan. So now this variable stored this name. So if I run it, it also works. There is you can get this type of result. Okay. Suppose if I call the name and run it, we can get my name Mijan because this variable stored this name. So if you want, you can use here the equal sign, or if you want, you can also use here the less than hyphen. Okay, equal or less than hyphen is the similar. Okay, just I run, you can see we can get the same result. When I print, we can get the result this type of way. So if you want, you can also put here the equal sign, or if you want, you can use here the less than hyphen. Same process, same work we can get for that. So this is the variable, as well as you can also suppose you can also print it. Suppose just I call the print function and print this variable name and run the code. We can get the result also. Okay. Or if you don't use the print function, suppose I am not using the print function, I just use only for the name and run it. We also get the same result. There are not much difference. It's the same. So this is the variable. So variable you can store it the different types of object. Okay, as well as we can also use at the concatenate element. Basically, we are just add. Suppose I just simply show you the one example for concat. So I also write the comment. So it's a concat. So basically, we are just simply connecting two string. Suppose I just take a variable. Suppose um, suppose I take a variable. Suppose name, and in this name I want to put here. Suppose Bangladesh, Bangladesh, Bangladesh. Okay. So just I take a variable name and store it the Bangladesh. So now I want to add this name with other. Okay, suppose I just put here the I want to just use here Bangladesh. Just I take a variable paste mainly connecting. Okay, suppose I just put here suppose I love, then I put here suppose Bangladesh. So I simply call this variable name and paste here. Okay, and then put here the comma sign. Just put here the comma sign. Okay. So now I just use here the paste. Mainly paste we are used for concatenate, mainly connecting. Suppose this line I love, I want to connect with this. Again, these things also stored in the name. So now if I run the code, and also you can say I can get the I love Bangladesh. So now it's connecting. Okay. So for concat, we just use here the paste function, generatively connecting. Okay. As well as if you want, suppose I put here, I take a variable, suppose text one, and I store it in here, suppose GIS and suppose remote sensing. I just store it in this text one. And I also take suppose text two. I just put here, suppose I put here that I love. So now I want to connecting text one and text two in one line. I love GIS and remote sensing. So for that, just use a function. This function called the paste function. Paste mainly connecting. So just I want to connecting text two, then text one. So now if I just run it, also run it, and finally we can get the result. Okay, we have to put the wrong spelling. We have to use the same variable name, text2. So now it will be work. We find out that I love GIS and remote sensing. So this is the concatenate. We are just connecting the two string, and this two string is stored the different variable. Then we simply use the paste function and connecting these two variable. So this is the process. And if you want variable, if you want, you can also put at the multiple variable. Multiple variable. So I also explain about that. What is the multiple variable? It also need, suppose multiple variable. So multiple variable, we can store it the multiple variable. Suppose in one value, suppose I take a variable name one. I take the another variable, suppose name two. I take the another variable, suppose name three. I take the another variable, suppose name four. Okay. And in this variable, I assign a value, suppose my name, Mijan. So now this value is stored total four variable, name one, name two, name three, and name four. Stored this value, Mijan. Okay. So multiple variable you can also define. So if I run the code, you can see, run the code. So now if I just call the name 3 and print, we can get the Mijan. If I call the name 2, we can get the Mijan. If I call the name 1, we can get the Mijan. Because we are just using the multiple variable, and all of variable just stored in one value. So these things is also possible in the R programming. We are just using the multiple variable, and we can easily add. Okay. Variable name can be anything. Okay. Suppose anything we can define as a variable, but some limitation also. Suppose I already explained about that. Suppose variable name limitation. So this type of variable you cannot use. So start with number. Any variable name you cannot define, start with number. Suppose I put the 2, then put the variable name, suppose country, and I define the variable, suppose Bangladesh. So if you can see it show that unexpected input. So any variable name cannot be start with digit or number. So this is the one limitation for the variable. Then you cannot use the hyphen in your variable. Okay, suppose if I done, suppose 200. So if I run the code, you can see it will show the problem. So any variable you cannot use the var keyword. So this is the another problem, another limitation you cannot use. Suppose you cannot use any kinds of space. Suppose I put here the my name and I put the value, suppose my name Nijan, and run it. You cannot also use at the space. Any variable you cannot use the space in your variable name. As well as we cannot use, suppose underscore start. Suppose my put here the name. I cannot use this type of things also. Suppose I put here the Mijan, it also show the wrong. You cannot start with the underscore. So this is the another limitation or another is not work. You cannot use any kind of symbol. Suppose I put here the my suppose I put the at the rate and put here the name. So you cannot use this type of symbol, dollar symbol or at the rate symbol or percentage symbol. You cannot use as a variable. So it's another limitation. As well as you cannot use the boolean operator. Suppose you cannot use at the true as a variable. You cannot use. So you can simply accept this type of way, and other almost any kind of name you can use. You can easily use here the underscore, okay, in a variable. So this is the legal variable you can also define. Suppose just I write here, suppose correct format of variable. Okay, when you define the variable, you can simply write here, suppose just put here the without a space. Suppose I put here that my name, and I put my name, and I put my name, suppose Mijan. Okay, it's also okay. There is no problem. It worked. What is the problem? Let me check. Suppose I put the variable name is the my name. Okay, your object my not found. Let me check. Okay, or just I try to just comment this type of line to create some problem also. Just commenting, then it will be not work. It just work as a comment. Okay, so now we define the variable correct format. Suppose I just take a variable. Suppose my variable I put in here. I put the variable name, suppose Mijan. So now it's work. Okay, you can also use, if you want, you can also put here the underscore and also define the variable. Okay, or if you want, you can also use here that suppose dot and also put here the my name. It also okay. You can also use here the dot notation and also mention the name, variable name. It also okay. There is no problem. Okay, just put here the dot and then put this name. So you can also use this type of correct format of your variable easily. You can also use it using R programming language. And but this type of things you can see the start with digit, then also put the hyphen or space or start with underscore. You cannot use the symbol. You cannot use the boolean operator. Almost other everything you can easily use in as a variable name. Okay. So this is the variable. So now we talk about the some basic data type. Okay, in remote in RStudio. So basically, data type when you work, we mainly first of all you can get the numeric, mainly number, 0 to 9, then character. Okay. So suppose I take a variable, suppose number value. We can put in name number value. Suppose I put the 50. So now this variable is stored the number of 50, and if I just print, we can easily get the number value, copy and paste here and run it. So you can get the 50. Okay, and further you take another variable, and this is the numeric data format, mainly number work as a numeric data format. And when you work for that string, suppose I take a variable, my name, and then put here my name, suppose Mijan, and run it, and also print, just print my name. So you can easily get the result Mijan. And this data format call as a string. String mainly group of character. Okay, string mainly group of character. So it's a character data type. So just I put here it's a character, character, character. Okay, or we can also say that it's a string, strings. Okay, so this is the character or string we can simply define in here, as well as in R programming you can also use for the numeric, mainly integer or complex character, logical, so different types of data type we can also use in here. Suppose if you just simply suppose I want to check this data, what is the class. Okay, so for that you can simply use, for checking the data type, we can use the class function to check the data type. Okay, so I have to write the mention checking data type, use mainly class function. Class function help you to check the data format. Suppose I want to check this, what is the 50, what is the data format, I want to check it. So for that just simply call the class and call this number value, simply copy and paste and just run it. So you can find out the numeric. If it's a numeric, so I have to check it for the, for this my name, what is the data format about that. So just simply call the class and call the my name, simply copy and paste here. Now check it. So you can find out that it's a character or string. We can find out from here. So this is the process to check the data format. We can easily use the class function, and then we can easily check the data format from here. Okay, as well as if you check, suppose I take a variable, suppose y, and I put here suppose 1000 L. Okay, so now if I just check the class, what is the class of y, just run it and also run it, we can find out the integer. Okay, so in this case when you define any integer value we have to use the L. Okay, so without L you can see if I run it, it shows the numeric. But in R studio programming we can also get the another type, it's called the integer. And when you define any integer value we have to use here the uppercase L and run the code, we can get the result integer. Okay, as well as we also get, basically I put here, it's also, it show the result for, it's a integer data format. Okay, when you put the L it work as the integer. As well as you can also define for the complex number also. So suppose I take a variable x, I put here equal, I put the value suppose 10 10i plus 3. So here this I is imaginary number or complex number. So if I run and also check the class about the x and run it, we can get it's a complex. Okay, so you can find out that complex, we find out the integer, we find out the numeric. Okay, or string, as well as another one is that boolean, we also find out the boolean or logical. Suppose I take a variable m and I store it here suppose true, just I put the boolean operator true. So if I run and check the class about that, just use here the class and call the m and run it, we find out it's a logical operator, true or false. So this is the complex data format, and this is the work for, it's a logical data format. So this is the, this type of data format you can easily get from RStudio normally. For the integer, complex, it's a complex and logical, and also number and string, and also get the numeric and also integer. When I put here the L, it work as the integer. Okay, Do you have any question? You can also ask me the question for any time. Okay. I hope you can easily get the idea about the data type. So basically find out the logical data type, complex data type, integer data type, and also get the numeric data type, and also get the string data type. Mainly total 5 classes. And for the number, mainly integer, numeric, integer, and complex. 3 number. Again, find it in here. And suppose we are also use some function in here. Suppose I will show you some numerical operation or mathematical operation. It also need learn the basic things. Suppose mathematical operation. Suppose we already know suppose 5 plus 5 we can get the result 10. Suppose 10 minus 5 we can easily get the result 5. Okay, 10 minus 5 we can easily get the result for if you run the code you can get the 5. So this is the mathematical operation you can easily do in our studio program. So basically plus, minus, division or divided or subtraction you can easily do. As well as it has some also built-in function. Suppose 100, suppose 50 and 80. So now this 3 number, I want to find out what is the maximum value I want to find. So for that, we can easily use a function. This function called the max function. It's a built-in function in our programming. Put at the max and just run it. We find out the maximum value is the 100. Suppose you have the lot of number. Suppose 10 or 500. So now you can check it. What is the maximum? I find out the maximum is the 500. Suppose you have a lot of number. So from this number, you want to find out what is the maximum value. You can easily use at the max function. It's the built-in function. Same process we can also apply for another one. It's called the mean function. Just put here the mean, and I have to find out the minimum value. Suppose from this, I want to find out the minimum value. So just and run it. We find out that 10 is the minimum value. Okay, so this is a built-in function in our programming, max, min. We can also use here the square root. Suppose we find out the square root function, return the square root of a number. Suppose I put here the square root function. It's called that sqrt, square root. I want to find out for the square root, suppose 225. We can find out that 15. Okay, 15 square, we find out that 225. So square root of 225 is 15. Suppose I want to check for a square root, just put here that sqrt, square root of 16. You can check, we can find out the 4. Okay, this is the square root. As well as we can also use here the different types of function such as positive value. Suppose I just take a negative value, suppose negative 5.8. So now I want to work if return the absolute value mainly positive value. So for that, you can simply put at the ABS, absolute value. We try to check it for that. So if I run the code, we find out that 5.8. Okay? So it provides the absolute value. We can also generate from here. As well as we also use the two important function. It's called the ceiling function and also floor function. Basically, ceiling function round a number upward to nearest integer. Suppose when I put at the ceiling, suppose I want to be ceiling 1.4. If I run it, you can see we find out the 2. Okay, ceiling function make you round number upward nearest. But if I just use here the floor function, you can see just I put the floor function, it shows the downward nearest number. Suppose floor, I need the floor for 1.4. So now you can see I can get the 1. Okay, so ceiling, it provides the upward nearest integer, and floor, it provides with the downward nearest number. Ceiling and floor, we have to use this type of function. Basically mathematical calculation, when you do, then we try to use this type of function. That then we talk about that another thing. Suppose we already know about that string, we already know how we can work with the string mainly group of character. We can also store it in here. Suppose I will show the another example for this string. Suppose I want to just take a variable. Suppose suppose I put my name. I put my name. Suppose Mijanur Rahman. So now I run it. So now I want to find out the number of character in this string. Okay. Suppose in this string, how much character, how much text, how much letter, including. So for that, use at the n CSAR, ncar, and call this name variable. If I run it, you can see it check that how much character, total 14 character in this name, we find out. Okay. So this is another function. Suppose you want to check how much number of characters in a string, then use this function. As well as if you also use the, it's not important. Okay, just I ignore this part. It's not important. And boolean, we already know about that, true or false. So suppose you can simply put here the 10 suppose less than 9, so it's the true or false. We find out the true because 10 is greater than 9. Okay, suppose I put here the 10 equal suppose 9. So if I run the code, you can see it show the false because 10 is not equal to 9. Suppose I put here the 10 I put here the 15 less than 10. If you can see, we can get the false because it's a false. So you can easily get this type of work. For that, how we can easily check about that. As well as if you want, you can also add some condition. Suppose I take a variable. It's a common things about that. I take a variable. Suppose a, I stored the value suppose 200, and take the b and put here the value suppose 33. So now I want to use the if function. Suppose I put the if, and now put the parenthesis. In this parenthesis, I just put my condition. If b is greater than a, then I define my condition in the curly bracket. Okay. So if b is greater than a, then it print b is greater than a. Okay. And if it not happened, then what happened? Then else it print b is not greater than a. Suppose just I put the quotation and also start the quotation. So now, first of all, I just try to take a variable a and b, and I set the condition. If b greater than a, then it printed b is greater than a, and if it not happened, then it print b is not greater than b, a is not greater than b. So now run the code, and also run the code. Now we can see what happened, because in this case we find out that it b is 33. Okay, so it shows that b is not greater than a. So you find out that b is not greater than a. So you also set some condition. Okay, this is the boolean operator. You can also set some also this type of way. And operators, you can also use here the different types of operators. Suppose arithmetic operators, assignment operator, comparison operator, logical operators. So different types of operator you can also use in here. Okay, suppose I talk about that for operator. So basically we are just using this. Suppose equal, for the double equal sign, it's show the equal. And then suppose I just put here the example. Suppose 5 equal 5, it show the true. Okay, and suppose not equal. Suppose I put here the 5 for that not equal, just the exclamation and then equal. 5 not equal 5, it show the result false, because 5 equal 5 is the true. This is the equal, this is not equal. Further, if you check suppose 5 suppose greater than 5, it show the false. Okay, because it's the equal. Suppose I put the 5 less than 5, it also false. Okay, then we suppose put at the 5 greater than equal 5. So it's the true. Okay, because it's the greater than equal, greater than or equal. So we find out the equal. Suppose I put the 5 less than equal 5. It's a true. We also get because it's the less than or equal. Okay, we find out the equal 5 equal to 5. So this is the operator, comparison operator. So basically we are use this type of things. So equal, not equal, then greater than, less than, greater than equal, less than equal. So this is the comparison operator we also use in R Studio, as well as we also use here that some logical operator. Okay, suppose an operator, also logical and operator return the true if the both is true. So this type of things is not much important because in this time we are talking about that geospatial data analysis. So that's why it's not much important. And we can also use the if statement. We'll learn about that if statement. If statement basically we are just put here the if and further we set some condition. Okay, using the if condition we also use in here. As well, nested if is also need. Nested if basically nested if is need. Okay, so it also need about that. Suppose suppose I have a number. I take the one example just a minute. For the nested if, suppose I take a variable x and put at the was 41. Okay, and now I want to set some condition. Suppose if this x greater than 10, then what happened? Then what happened? Then it print 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 suppose above 10. Okay, so this is the one condition, this is the one condition, and in this case I also add the another condition in the same loop. So what I want to take, suppose if the x greater than 20, and then what happened? Then it print suppose and also above 20. Okay, and if it not happened, suppose just I put the else function else in here, then what is the condition? Just I put the condition, suppose print but not above. Suppose I put here at the but not above 20. Okay, then else. And finally, both of condition are not true. Then I put the finally else. I put the condition statement. Suppose print below 10. So now we check the result. You can see we find out the two result above 10 and also above 20 because x is 41. Suppose if I put here that suppose 2, you can see here what happened. Below 10, it shows the below 10, this condition. So it check this information, these three statement are false. So that's why it print the final one below 10. Suppose I put here the 50 and now check. So we can find out the above 10, also above 20. Okay, so it's called the nested if. So when I use the two time, you can say I use the two time if statement. This is the one time, and I also use the another time. So I had the two time if statement. I set the two condition. So that's why it called the nested if. It's called the nested if. Okay, so this is the process about that. We also said. as well as if you want, you can also use the while function, basically loop for loop. We already discussed about that. Suppose I want to put the while loop. So for the while loop, just I take a variable, suppose I equal 1, and now I want to put here the, suppose while I set the condition, suppose I is greater than 10. Okay, and I set my statement. So my statement will be that it print the I, and further I equal I plus 1. So you can see here, I just take a variable I, and then I put the while loop, and I set I less than 10. This is my statement, and it's print I, and every time I increase one by one. So in this time, it I put at the greater than less than 10. So it will be print. You can see if I run it, we can get the result 1 to 9, because I set the condition in here, and it increasing 2. Suppose I put at the 2, and now you can see we find out that only for the even number. Okay, 1357. So if I put here that 1, you can see find out that result. So just run it. So you can get 1 2 3 4 6 5. Suppose you just put here the 100 or 101. So now I can check. We find out that only for, you can see, you can get the result look like that, 1 2 3 4 and up to 100, because I put the 101. I put the less than I. Okay, so 101 less than I. So just I put here the 2. So then I can get all of even number. So you can see, you can get it. So 1 3 5 7 9 11 12. Okay, so this is the work for the while function. Basically while loop, we can execute the set of statement as long as condition is true. Okay, so now if the condition, suppose I just put here that 5,000 or 15,000. So now I can see it will be working up to 15,000. So when it will be show the it increase the 15,000, then it will be stop. You can see it will be stop. It's not running. So this is the work for the while function. Mainly we need the statement as long as condition is true. So if it will be when it get the false, then this statement is the stop and not work. Also same for the for loop. Okay, we can easily work for the for loop and also work this type of work. Okay, suppose I just create a list. In this time we talk about the list in R programming. Suppose I just talk about the list. Okay, so for the list, suppose I have to create the list of name, and I want to add some list. Just put at the list function and put the list of name. Suppose I put my name Mijan, and suppose put another name. So I create this type of list of name. So if I run it, so now if I just call the name and run it, we can get all of name. We can see it worked. But if you want, you can also use the for loop function. Suppose I just call the for loop, and I put here, suppose I call the name in, suppose I just put here that, suppose I take a variable x in name. Okay, and further I just put my statement print the x. Okay, so now if I run the code, we can see it just print. Okay, just I print this type of things from here. So just you can also create this type of list, and also from this list we can simply add. So this is the process for that. And we are also use the another important thing is called the mainly dices. Suppose if you just put here, it's a vector data set, vector in that number. Suppose I put a variable, suppose dice, and put here suppose c. Okay, suppose I put the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, if I run the code, and now if I just call the same process, just simply copy this for loop function and paste here. And I just x in dice, simply copy the dice, this variable and paste here and run it. Okay, we also need to run it and also run it. So here, I guess you can get, okay, all of things. But when you define the list, you have to use that the list function. It's very important for the list because sometimes also need this type of work. And we can also create the function also in our programming. Suppose I create some function. This function help me for a specific purpose. Suppose I just take a function. The function name is that, suppose, calculator. Okay. Then I take the variable name calculator and call the function keyword. Function keyword. Okay. And further, I put the element in, suppose, A and B. And then I define my argument in here. So my argument is that, suppose, print A plus B, then print A minus B, then print A multiply with B, then print A suppose divided by B. So I create this type of function. If I run it, it also works. Okay. So now I call this function, suppose calculator. And in this calculator, if I define the number A and B, suppose I put here the 100 and 50. So if I run the code, you can see we can easily get the result in here. Okay. So these things is also similar with JavaScript programming. Okay. So when I talk about the JavaScript programming, we also use this type of example also. This similar concept is also supported by RStudio also. Okay. So this is the process to create the function. We can easily do it. And further, this is the basic things about the Python. And further, we also create the data structure. So different types of data structure. Suppose vector. Vector is simply a list of items that are the same data type. Okay. So vectors is one kind of data type in the RStudio. So vector. This thing is that it's stored the item. Okay. It is list item items are the same data type, same type. Okay, same type. Okay. Suppose I take a variable. Suppose fruits, and I just create the this type of things. Just I put here that C for the vector. When you vector data type mainly C. Okay, and list items are the same type. Okay, suppose all of the same, all of the string. Okay, suppose I create the, suppose, banana. I put at that mango, or suppose orange. So if I just call these fruits, we can easily get this type of result. So this is the one kind of example. We create the vector that combine the string only for the string. Suppose I create the number. So just I put here the variable number and I created, suppose, 10, 20, 30. It's a number. So I just call the number. We can get it for the number. Okay. As well as you can also use at that colon operator. Suppose I just take a variable as a x. In this variable, I put the 1 to, suppose, 100. So if I just print the x, you can see it show the all of things 1 to 100. Okay, just use the colon, or then it also work about that. So this is the vector. And now list. This is another data type. It's called the list data type. List. List data. So basically, this list data type are contain the different data type inside it. Okay, a list is collection of the data which is ordered and also changeable. Okay, to create the list, we can use here this type of things. But this type of data are not changeable. When you want to use for the vector, this data is not changeable. But when you want to create the list, this type of data we can change and also modify. Okay, as well as we can also maintain the ordered or serial. Suppose I just try to use the same function, just simply copy the same, and now I have to convert the list. So just use here the list function. Just use here the list function. If I run it and also call the roots, we can get this type of list. Okay, so we can easily print this list in here. As well as you can also access the item. Suppose in the order. Suppose from these fruits, I want to check for the first item. So it's just put only for the banana. It's the one, then two, and three. Suppose I need only for the three. Just I call the variable and put here the. So you can get the orange. Orange belly sequence is the three. Okay. But if I try, suppose just I put here one, it also work. Okay, but this is the almost same, but some difference. Okay, but we try to use the list things because it's more better, because this data it also maintain the indexing. Okay, it also maintain the indexing also. Okay. And list is also similar. You can see we can get also the similar result. Okay, almost same, not much difference in here. As well as we also create the matrix. Matrix mainly one dimensional, two dimensional, different types of matrix. Mainly a column is vertical represent of data, which allow while a row is horizontal. So you can easily create the matrix. Okay. Suppose for creating the matrix is another data type. So just I write it. Suppose matrix data type. Okay. For the matrix, we are just call a, suppose I take a variable. Suppose uh, matrix. Okay, and I create the matrix. So for that, I just create a list of number. Suppose I create the list of number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so this list of number I want to create the matrix. So for that, just use a function, matrix function, apply. Okay, I apply the matrix function. So now you need to define the number of row and number of column. Suppose I create this number of row equal, I will create the 3 row and 2 column. So 2 column, I just put the column, suppose 2. So now if I just also call the matrix, just print it, create just, okay, same things. So now it create the, you can see this type of matrix. We find out that total 3 row and 2 column. Okay, we can easily get it. Suppose I put that 3 row and 3 column, then check. You can see it not work because this data length different from the size of matrix. Okay, so this it cannot be create 3 into 3 matrix because I have the short of data. Suppose I put add the more data 10. Now it work. So now it create the 3 into 3 matrix we can get. We can say 3 row and 3 column we can generate. So this is the matrix function, create the matrix. And we can also create the matrix for also string also. Okay. Suppose you can simply take some string and also create the matrix. Suppose I create a variable for text matrix. And just I create a list I create the vector list and I put at the string, suppose apple, and I put here suppose mango, or put here that orange. So I want to convert it as a matrix. So just put here the matrix and also put the bracket and put the row and column number. So I put here that n row. I define the row, suppose 2, and also put here the define the column, suppose 2 into 2 matrix I have to create, and then call this test matrix. So now we can create the matrix for, you can see, okay, for the string we also create the matrix. So this is the matrix example, as well as if you just create only for the, suppose I just call the test matrix. From here I just call only for that 1 comma 2, so I can get the mango, okay, because this is the 1 and 2. Basically we find out the first row, second column, okay, so this is the mango, first row and second column we find out. Suppose I need it orange, so orange mainly we find out that second row, second column. So just I put here the second row and second column. If I run it, we find out the orange. Suppose I need the banana, so we find out the second row, first column. So just put here the second row, first column. If I run it, we can get the banana. So this is the matrix number. We can also generate from here. Also add this type of things. And then that is very important. So basically, it's called the array. Okay. So array is the another data type. So I also mentioned about that. It's a array data type. So array data type mainly compared to matrix, array can have more two dimension. Okay. So array is the 2D. We can use the array function to create an array, and the another function is specify the dimension. Suppose I just create an array. Suppose I put a variable number. I define the number. Suppose I see. Suppose 1 to 24, all of number, or 25. And if I just print the number, you can check the result. You find out all of number 1 to 25. So now I want to convert its array as a array. Okay, mainly an array with more than one dimension I want to add in here. So for that, we just take a variable, suppose multi array, and I just use the array function, arrays function, and I want to apply this number. Apply this number. Okay, and further we try to apply the another variable, suppose dim, and I put here this C. I put here that suppose 4, then 3 and 2. So basically 4, 3, 2, the first and second number in the bracket specifies the amount of row. Okay, so first and second number, mainly 4 and 3. 4 and 3, it specify amount of row and column, and this and the last number in the bracket specify the how many dimension we want. We need the 2 dimension, just put here the 2, and 4 and 3 is the row and column number we define in the array. So now if I run the code, and also, okay, it shows the multi-array. Object multi not found. Okay, we try to run the code. Okay, we have to use there. Okay, we have to use the hyphen. We have mistake the hyphen. So now, if I just call the multi-array and paste here, we can see we can get this type of result for that. So it show the 2 dimensional, and we find out that 4 row and 3 column. Okay, between this data set you can find out in here. So this is the process for the array. And another is important for that data format. Okay, it's very important for the data format, data frame, data type. So this it's called the data data frame, data type. Okay, so for that we need to create different types of data frame. And now how I can create the data frame? So we can easily store it the CSV file. Further example I will show you that. So suppose I want to create a data frame. For the data frame when you create, we are just use the data frame function. Okay, so I take a variable, suppose data set or data frame. Just I put the data set, and then I put the data dot frame function, frame. So now I define my data in here. Okay, suppose I just put here the, suppose, training. So this is my one kind of column name. So in this column, I want to store a list of training. Suppose I put here that training name, suppose GE, then put here that R. Suppose I put here that, suppose Python. Okay. Suppose I put here that, suppose GIS. Okay. So I create the list. Okay, about this one column list. And further I put here, suppose duration. Suppose duration. I take the another column for duration equal. And I create the another list. So for that, I put here the duration. Suppose 27 hours. Suppose 30 hours. Suppose 40 hours. Suppose 20 hours. I put the another column for the duration. And finally, suppose you want more information. Suppose I take the another column. Suppose I put here for, suppose fee, just equal sign, and create this vector I want to create for the fee. Suppose 500. I put here the, suppose 1000. I put here, suppose 25. Suppose I put here that, suppose 15. Okay, so now it create this type of column. Okay, and this type of column is stored this type of information, and it work as a data frame. So it's called the data frame. If I run the code, you can see, just run, and also call my data set. Simply copy and paste here and run it. So you can get this type of things. Here you can see the training name. We find out the GE, R, Python, GIS. We find out the duration. We find out the fee. So now it worked as a Excel file or CSV file. So further lot of time we are use this type of data frame. Okay, we can simply import the CSV file. You can simply create the data frame. Okay, and it's called the data frame, and it's very popular data type. We can easily get from here. So as well as if you want, you can check the data frame information. Suppose I can simply use a function. Uh, Suppose I want to use for summary. Suppose just put here the summary, and I need the summary of my data set. Run the code. We can find out. You can see it provide me the some information. Training many length. We find out the 4. So basically, in this case, I add the total 4 information: G, R, Python, and GIS. 4 column. It show the 4. Mainly class character. Basically, it's a character. And duration, we find out the minimum value, minimum duration 20, minimum fee 500. Okay, also find out that average, also find out the average or median, first quarter value, median value, maximum value. We can easily find out. So we find out the some information from my data set when I apply the summary function. Okay, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. So if you have any question, you can also ask me anytime, no problem. Okay. So now
Okay.
suppose I can select the specific item from this data frame. Suppose I you can use the single bracket. Suppose I just try to call my data set. This variable is straight to my data set. So from this data set, I just call only for the one, only for the first item. So if I run it, you can see it just show me the first column. Okay, only for the first column. I can separate. I can got only with the first column. Suppose I just put here second and run it. I find out the second column. Suppose I just put here the three. I find out the third column. Okay, as well as suppose I just need only for the information. I just need only for the information of training, this type of information. So for that you can simply call the data set, and from this data set just use here the square bracket and also use here the another square bracket and put the column name, this column you need. Suppose I need the column of training, this column information I need, so simply copy and paste here and run. So now we can get only for this information. You can say G, R, Python, and GIS. Suppose I need the information for this column duration. Simply copy and just paste here. So now I can get the information for this duration. Okay, only for this single column. We find out in here. So do this is the basic things, as well as we also do for the lot of other things also. But these are the basic things. If you know that, then you can easily work with the GIS and remote sensing for the different data frame. No problem. As well as we also create some data frame. It's not mentioned in here in this time. It's not need. As well as we also use factor. It's another data format. Factor basically demographic, music, or also different types of data format. Call as a factor. Suppose it's also not need for that. Okay. So basically, this is the basic things of the R Studio programming. Okay, so this is the basic things only for the beginners. If you already know this type of things, then it's very good. So as well as we also use some graphical data set. Suppose I'll show some graph also for the beginners graph, how you can easily create some beginners graph work. So for the graphing, we can easily plot the plot function. You can easily plot. Suppose you create the plot. Suppose just use here the plot, normal plot. Just call the plot, and then I suppose I have to create the plot one from three. Now it create the plot. Okay, you can see. Okay, this friends, this it's create the point, and you can see this is the one and this is the three. So you can find out the plot in here 1, 2, 3, as well as you can also create the plot for 2 point. Suppose draw a 2 point in a diagram, one position 1 to 8, another position 10 to 3. So you can easily create this type of two position. You can easily create. Suppose for the plot, just I want to create the two position. Suppose just I put here plot, and this two position we define, and also put the comma sign and put here suppose one. Suppose I put here the suppose 3 to 10. Okay, and you can see it already show about the unexpected error. So for that we have to create the list. So just I put the C and also put here the C. Just I make the list of it. So now if I run the code, you can see it show the two graph. We can find out the one in here. So it's the 1 and 3. 1 and 3. This 1 mainly X and 3 mainly Y. Another is that we find out that 3 and 10, this point. So this is the normal graph. But we will discuss more other graph also. So you can create the different graph from here. So suppose you create the different graph and also put the more value. Suppose I put here the 1, 3. Suppose 1, 3, 5. I also put another one. Suppose 10. Suppose 8. So if you run the code, you can see we find out this type of value. You can see. Okay. The first one is the 1 and 3. So basically this 1 and this 3. Okay. Then second one is the 3 and 10. Okay, basically you can see 3 and 10. And finally 5 and 8. So basically this one 5 and 8. Okay. So this is the normal plot. We can easily create from here. Suppose I want to create the plot 1 to 10, all of point I considered. So for this, just call the plot and put here the 1 to 10 and run it. So you can easily get, you can see. Okay. So 1, 1, then you can see 2, 3, so on. So if I just 1 to 10, then it create the 1 to 10 all of plot in here easily. You can get it from here using that. Or if you want, you can also create the line. Suppose I want to create the line. So this type of plot I am just simply connecting. For connecting, after that just use a function. It's called the type function. Put here the type equal L. Just put here the L. L means line. So you can get the connecting all of line. The process about this type of things. For the graph, if you want, you can also add here the graph title. Okay, so always you try to use the same information for the title. Suppose I have to add the title. So for that, just use here the main equal, put the title. Suppose I put the title is that demo chart. So now on the code, it show the demo chart. Okay, we add the title using the demo. For the x label, y label, suppose I put the x lab equal, I put the x label. Suppose it show the value for suppose I put it's a you can put anything. Suppose I put the this is x axis. You can put anything as a label, and I put suppose y label, and I put here y label. It's a this is y level. Okay. So if I run the code, you can see it also added in here. This is y level, this is x level. We can easily add. And for adding the title, we put here the main and put the title in here. As well as suppose I want to create the line color as a red color. So for that, you can simply define here, suppose color COL equal. I put suppose red. Okay, so it's the red RED. We can find out the red color. As well as suppose if you want to, suppose I just simply remove the line type. Suppose I just remove it, it's not neat, and run it. You can see it show the this type of circle, and I want to increase this circle size. So for that, you can simply add the another argument. It's called the CEX. I put the CEX as a suppose 3 pixel. Put at the 3. So if I run the code, you can see it also will increase this type of circle. I put at suppose 2. So if I have this is the another. Sometimes also need this type of work for adding this type of things. As well as suppose you want to add some triangle without circle, put here the triangle. For adding the triangle, just put here PCS equal 25. So when you put the PCS 25, it automatically convert as a rectangle. Just put in here, we find out the rectangle. So this is another argument for PCS 0 to 25, change the point shape format. And 25 is the rectangle. It's the constant value. And when you put the PCS value, suppose when I put at the PCS value for I put at the suppose 0, you can see what happened. We find out the square shape. Suppose I put here the PCS value for 3. You find out this type of plus different types of. You also check mainly 0 to 25. 0 to 25, we find out that different sample. Suppose I put here that the 13. You can see this type of sample. Suppose I put here the value for 17. Okay. So 0 to 25, you can check. You find out the different value, different style for creating the chart. So this is the plot, as well as we also create the line float. So just put here the type as a line. Just put here the type as a line. It create the line float also about that. And we also increasing. Suppose I create the line float. Okay, suppose just put here the type equal L. We create this type of line. So now suppose you just increase the line width. Okay, line width. So for that, just create another argument. Right. Suppose in here, suppose I put the another argument is that LWD. I put at the increase, suppose 2 pixel. So it increasing. Suppose I put the more increasing. Suppose put here the 10. You can say it will be more increasing. Okay. So this is a line width LWD. I put here suppose 2. Okay. As well as we also define the other style also. So further let's discuss about the more details about that, how we can easily create this type of things. Uh, as well as scalar plot, pie chart, we can easily create this type of things. Suppose I have a data set, so now I want to create the pie chart. Suppose I show them an example. Suppose I take a variable, suppose y, and in this variable I have some number. Suppose some value, suppose 10, and then suppose 30, suppose 20, and 40. Okay. So now I want to create the pie chart. So for that, just use here the pie function, pie, and call the y and run it. So create this type of chart here. You can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 is really 10. So this portion is for the 10. And then 2, it's a 30. Then 3 mainly 20. And 4 mainly 40. When I put at the dot pi, it creates this type of things. Types of things. Okay, if you want, you can also add suppose some label also. Suppose I create the label. For that, just take a variable. Suppose label. In this label, I just add another list. Suppose 10. Suppose 10 for, I put the 10 for banana. Suppose 10 banana. Then suppose 30 mango. Then 20 orange. And then 40 is for coconut. I put the label, this type of label I put in here. So now suppose 10 banana, 30 mango, 20 orange, and 40 coconut. So this is my label. And this label I want to add in my chart. So for that, just put here the pie and add some argument in here. Suppose put here the label. Label is equal, it come from this variable. Just paste here. This label I want to add. And further, I put here the suppose main at the title. Suppose I put here the fruits. I put this title. So now run the code. So you can see it show about that coconut, banana, mango, orange. So this type of things is also possible. If you want, you can also change the color. Okay. Suppose we create the another list of color. Suppose I put here the colors. I create the list, vector list. For the banana, I want to show as a suppose yellow color. Then for that mango, I want to show as a green color. Orange, I want to show as a orange color. Coconut, show as a this color. Suppose blue color. Okay. So now run the code and I want to add the color also in here. So just I put here the color. So put here that COL and I define the colors. Simply copy and paste here. So now if I run the code, we can get this type of color, which color is set in here. We can also set the color for specific tiles also, as well as you can also add here the legend. Suppose I want to add the legend in here. So if you want, you can also add the legend. Okay, so for adding the legend, so just display the legend, just use here the legend function. So put here the legend, and I want to set the legend in the suppose bottom right, bottom left. I put suppose bottom right, bottom right, and further I just call the label. So I already create the label. You can see just I copy and paste here, and then fill, fill mainly colors, copy and paste. So now run the code. We can add the legend in here. Okay. So this is the process to work with pie chart. And when you work for the different types of analysis, we also just apply the same process to create this type of chart. And same process also for another one. For the bar column, we also create for the bar column, or bar plot. We can also create in here. So basically X and Y, just we try to add the bar. It also possible. Okay. Okay, so we try to discuss also bar column, then finish our today's session. So for the bar column, suppose I have some data. Okay. Suppose I have some population data. I take a variable. Suppose I put the variable name, suppose name, or put the name. In this variable, I define some population, suppose some district name. Suppose I put here the Dhaka. Suppose I put here that Rangpur. Put here that Khulna, and put here that suppose Rajshahi. And further, I have the another data, suppose for temperature. I take the another value and I stored the data in the list of vector list. Suppose Dhaka, I put here that 30. Then Rangpur, put here the 27. Pulna, suppose I put here that 20. Rajshahi, I put here the suppose I put here that 17. Right. So this is the data. So now these things I want to represent as a bar column. So for that, just use a function bar plot and call the y level. So y level mainly temperature. Temperature is a y level. And further we just try to add here mainly x level. So for that use here the name dot arg and put here the name mainly x level. Okay, just I put here this name. Okay. And if I run the code, you can see it take this type of bar column we can create. Okay, but you define the bar column as a specific color. So put here the COL, and I define the color suppose red. So now it shows as a red color. Uh, as well as if you want, you can also add the different types of style of the bar column. Suppose if you just put here the just I remove the color. I want to put here suppose density, and density I put here the 10. If I run the code, we find out this type of style we find out in here in the density. Okay, so this is the process to work. As well as if you want, you can also increasing the bar column bar width. Suppose I want to increase the width size, it also possible. So for that you can simply also add width. Suppose just put a function, just put here the width, width, width. So bar column width, so I put here suppose 1, then 2, then 3 pixel, and 4 pixel. Okay, so if I run the code, you can see it show this type of. Okay, so this is the 1 pixel width, 2 pixel width, 3 pixel width, and 4 pixel width. Or if you need the similar bar column size, then it's not need for the similar. Okay? It show the result for similar size, similar width. Suppose you want to create for horizontal, so just put here that function. It's called the horizon, right? And open the operator true. So now it show at the horizontal. Okay? It also look more better when you want to just put here that. It look more better. You can also put the horizontal. Let's put the horizon and set the operator true. Okay. So this is the process to work with sample graphics with R. Okay, so you also try this type of things, and I will create a Google Classroom and also send this type of things in the Google Classroom. Further, you also try to practice. Okay, so do you have any question? You can ask me, please. Any question?